Iran placing the blame at Israel's feet. Is that the most likely scenario?
Certainly, Beverly, it is. Not just because Iran says this, but Israeli officials, while not confirming the attack, have pointed to it. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at a ceremony on Sunday night, the head of the Israeli military forces. In addition, U.S. and Israeli intelligence officials have been leaking information to the media, notably the New York Times, as well as Israeli media saying, yes, there was an explosion at the Natanz facility that caused the blackout. It was the Israelis that are behind it, and they are making the claim that it means production will be suspended at the central uranium production plant in Iran for the next 9 months.
Now, that seems to be debated. They're saying 9 months. Iran is saying this is not going to deter them and that they're going to be moving ahead very quickly, that there won't be delays. What can we believe?
Oh, I mean, we won't know for sure at this point because each side has got, let's say, skin in the game. The United States and Israel will try to maximize this because we're in the middle of nuclear talks with the Iranians and say, look, we have limited their program, or their program has been limited by someone. The Iranians will try to tough it out by saying, oh no, these were older centrifuges. We have these newer, more advanced centrifuges, which we will install in violation of the nuclear deal, and we'll keep doing this. So there'll be a bit of chest thumping on both sides. I think what you can say is this, Beverly. We know that the plant was hit last summer, again, probably by Israel, and that it destroyed some centrifuges with an explosion. This appears to be an even bigger explosion because it appears that Iranian officials reading between the lines are rattled. They're rattled that only 24 hours after proclaiming on Nuclear Technology Day, look at our great success, this has all been undone.
Yeah. And Benjamin Netanyahu has just given a press conference saying they will not, under his watch, Iran ever have nuclear weapons. As you point out, they've got a lot of skin in the game. How concerned are they by these reactivated talks trying to get Iran back under this nuclear deal?
Well, I think, first of all, we need to make clear that Iran is not on the verge of having nuclear weapons. If we do not return to a deal, they may choose to pursue a nuclear weapons program. Netanyahu, remember, is speaking from a personal capacity. He's trying to become head of the Israeli government again, domestically. The military and Israeli military and intelligence services, while they would not want to see Iran pursuing a bomb under any circumstances, don't necessarily mean that you do not pursue a deal. Because if you don't pursue a deal, there's no limit on what the Iranians can do.
How concerned, or just how significant was the activation of these new advanced centrifuges at Natanz over the weekend?
This was a major development, which has been occurring for a few months. Without getting too technical, the Iranians have what are called IR-1 basic centrifuges. They have now installed IR-2s, IR-4s, and IR-6s. You can tell that they're scaling up the program. And when they did it in January, they initially said, oh, it's because Parliament has demanded it. In fact, they've shifted since then. They now say, you cannot stop us from advancing our nuclear program. We don't want a nuclear bomb, but you can't stop us. In other words, they threw out a challenge to others as the talks began. And they did something else, Beverly, that's extremely important. They limited inspections by the International Atomic Energy Agency. And only a few minutes ago, a spokesman for the Iranian system, the Iranian regime, effectively accused the IAEA of leaking the intelligence that might have led to this attack. That's the type of defiance that could undo not only the talks, but it could ratchet up the tension and possibly even confrontation.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And when Iran is vowing revenge against Israel, what form might that take? Is that even likely, or is it rhetoric?
Well, I mean, Iran's never going to fire a nuclear weapon at Israel because they don't have a nuclear weapon, and Israel has lots of them. What you're talking more is the asymmetric conflict, which is beyond the nuclear issue throughout the region. What happens in Syria, where you have actors on different sides? What happens on Lebanon, next to Israel, including with the Iran ally Hezbollah? What happens regarding countries such as Saudi Arabia? So in other words, the region, which is never in a position of stability, the threat from the Iranians is will continue to make it unstable, not only for the Israelis, but for others, if we do not get the pressure lifted off us.
Yeah. Scott, always great to get your analysis. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Beverly.